So what's happening, people? My name is Scott Crowder, and welcome to Rise TV. This is a new podcast that myself and Jordan Clement are going to do. So let me just introduce myself real quick. My name is Scott Crowder. I'm originally from England. I grew up playing football when I was 3 years old. I moved to the US when I was 12 years old. I played 2 years in high school, as well as 1 year in college at Northern Virginia Community College. I met Jordan Clement probably about, I think it's been 5 or 6 years now. So Jordan and I have, good history in terms of a good friendship relationship. And also I've been coaching as well. I've coached amateur teams in the area, in amateur leagues in the American Premier League, as well as high school soccer when I was coaching at McLean High School. And that is pretty much my history. I have been playing soccer since I was 3 years old, played in England all the way through to now, still playing right now as well. And Jordan, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Oh, sure. So name's Jordan Clement. Everyone with this either calls me, my players call me either Coach J, Coach Clement. I used to be against Coach Clement, but kind of gotten used to that at this point. I'm currently the varsity head coach at Annandale. I've just finished up my 3rd season, and I am the Bishop Ireton head coach as well. Finished up my 2nd season. It's always tough remembering those two. I was 3rd and 2nd, but I've been coaching since 2017. I lived overseas most of my life. I played soccer since I think I was like 2 or 3, as my parents tell me. I don't know how I played soccer at 2 years old, but that's what they tell me. But yeah, that's pretty much been my story from playing all the way up till 17, going to New Mexico, playing down there for a bit. I think I was there for like probably 5-6 months before I realized I wanted to coach. I started coaching in the area, which was Rio Rapids Youth Academy. It's affiliate of Colorado Rapids. Then in 2018, moved up here to DMV area, and I've been coaching at different clubs, BRYC, SYC currently, and I've been coaching at different high schools, St. Stephen, St. Agnes in the past, and as well as Marshall High School and Lewis High School. So currently I'm coaching at the 2 spots, like I said, and currently SYC, and currently, doing Rise as well, heading out to Norway soon, praying for the best. But yeah, that's my background.
Absolutely. And obviously Jordan and I, like I mentioned, Jordan and I have known each other for, quite a while now. I think it's been like 5 or 6 years, good friends, coaching friends. So, whenever we're together, it's always like good long conversations about football and coaching tactics. However, we're not going to talk your ear off today because we could be here for a long time. But he did mention Rise, which is Realize Impossible Stopped Existing. That is his coaching company. And we are going to dive in a little bit deeper in these Rise TV podcasts concerning, certain questions and specifically certain kind of philosophies that, go into the coaching aspect of what Coach Clement does. So today we're going to be talking about why Rise players must speak, without emotion and with, I would say, more conviction and, more direction in that aspect. So I guess the first question I have for you, Jordan, is, what does it mean to speak with instruction and not emotion when it comes to the Rise philosophy and kind of what you're teaching your players, whether it's at Bishop Ireton, SYC, Annandale, or Rise? What is your philosophy when it comes to speaking the way they communicate with teammates?
Well, I go about it with pretty solid logic. Just over experiences that I've had. I'm a huge theory thinker and stuff, and a lot of my ideals that come into the soccer aspect is how I was raised. So when it comes to the players and stuff, most of the times they can lose their head and give off the I'm angry, I'm upset kind of response. And something that I heard from Johan Cruyff, it was a quote, I might butcher the quote, but it was something along the lines of, when you're a leader, you don't expect anything but, or not anything, but you don't expect your teammates to succeed, or better yet, it was you don't expect perfection from your teammates, and it makes your life easier. So when players are speaking with instruction, it's more so like on the offensive end. Very simple. If 15 people are calling your name, how is that player supposed to know which option at the type of speed that the game is being played at? So if 15 people are saying Scott, and you're checking all over the field and stuff to weigh each option, you lost the ball already. Yeah. So to be a better teammate, it would be better if you just look at your teammate's position and just say, hey, left, split. You know, that player will be like, I know what a split is. I know where my left is. I I can go ahead and play it. It's easier for them to actually be able to just get the play to go smoother when everyone is speaking a common language. You know, soccer is a universal game, but nonetheless, every soccer player who's played, you know it, I know it. It's like when you're on the field, no matter if you don't speak English and they don't speak English, you'll be able to figure out how to communicate pretty well. But
Yeah.
it's about what's the best. And at Rise, that's what we teach our players. On offense, you don't say the players' names. That confuses them. In fact, it slows the play down. Give instructions to where players start sounding more like coaches, because that's the next evolution of the game. You're gonna have more coaches as players.
Mhm.
And on the defensive end, it's very simple. You know, as much as you still give instruction on defense, you use a name. My father taught me that the best way to change people's life is to get people to start moving. And nothing moves someone than their name being called. Like someone yells out Scott, you're turning your head on the
Yeah.
street or in your house. Like it just happens that way.
Mhm.
So on defense, because it's about structure and unity and not one-on-one, it's about being together and being stronger as a unit than you could be. Excuse me, than you could be like without. So on defense, Rise players are told, like, when you give instructions, call the person's name. Don't just give instruction, call their name, because it'll make them also feel pretty good about themselves. You know, if someone's just saying, hey, drop back you, that's not it. It's you gotta actually know and build a relationship with your teammates, no matter how, you know, no matter how long it was that you guys have known each other. When the goal is to win or at least play well or compete, I think everybody can come to the conclusion of, okay, I'll talk like this. You know, you're not going to talk like, you know, like you don't know anything. Like I mean, you've heard this before. Come on, bro. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, hey,
Yeah.
come on, gotta do that. Like when you
It
talk like
never
that,
it never gets it never gets anyone
exactly,
like motivated when you say something like that. Anytime it's like, come on, bro, heads start to drop, and it's like, why'd you do that? Like, come on, but like, it's almost like nagging, you know. Like you're
exactly,
nagging the person at that point, and it's like, how are you gonna get someone to play better to the level that we know players are capable of? Because the players are so good now, especially when they're younger. How are you gonna get a player to play to that level, when other teammates are constantly nagging them and saying these things to them, and there's no clear direction or instruction? It really does, it frustrates me a lot. And that's something when I was coaching as well, I'd say, like, look, everything needs to be positive. If
mm-hmm.
someone takes a bad touch, the ball goes out of play, that's okay, reset, we go again. Someone commits a foul, good foul, reset, we'll get the ball back, we'll go again. It's always just, it's positive, it's okay, you let people know it's okay, you get on with it, because at the end of the day, it's water under a bridge. You can't just dwell on that one mistake and that one kind of missed opportunity. And I guess that kind of goes into the next question that I have as well, because how do you train players to, in game situations, also probably in training as well, how do you train them to remain calm and solution oriented, especially after they may make a mistake in a game, or they concede a goal? Let's say if it's a defender, they make a bad back pass, goes to the goalkeeper, whatever. How do you train them to remain calm and just solution oriented in those moments?
I think there's two things. The first one is I reflect that myself. Like I'm not a coach who's going to be screaming on the sideline at you the entire time, and then when you do something wrong, I'm going to scream at, like, I don't need to. I really don't need to. If you're already trying to adapt to what I'm trying to teach you, you're already meeting me halfway there, you're giving me your very best, then what is me going to what is me putting you down in the game going to do? Like it's hard enough that you're going to be down yourself. If you miss an opportunity, you're going to be punching yourself if you really could. But that's the reality. And when it comes to training, our sessions are very intense. But what happens is, when the players are in those moments and they say something, I, like, while the play's still going, I'll just call out the player. I'm like, hey, Damien, hey, listen, I know it's so easy to criticize that player's messing up, but trust me, if you just want to bring them down, anybody in the world can do that. Very few people can bring someone up. And I think those are the kind of soccer players that we want to be producing, not just soccer, but just people in general, all athletes, academic scholars, whatever. That's how we do it in training and stuff. So no matter when they have moments like that, I will do different tactics, such as calling them out, or I might pull them aside 1v1. It depends on my understanding of how to get the best out of the player. Like if the player is someone who is very close to their full potential in terms of hitting the ceiling I want them to, then I might just call them out, or not call them out. I might just bring them over in private. But if they're far away from it, in order to really push them, I'll just be like, I'm gonna call you out in front of everybody, but then I may call out another person. You know, you just got to know what your team is, and you got to understand how just social dynamics work, to be honest. But the games, honestly, they do it themselves now. Like I have multiple captains on the field, and they may not have an armband, but if you hear them talk, they talk very similar to me. And this team that we have going to Norway, I have like 4 or 5 leaders just off the cuff, and that's from goalkeeper all the way up into the 3 center mids. That's an insane spine to have when
Yeah.
you know that as the coach, the only thing I have to worry about is really tactical things. I just watch the other team. If my team makes a mistake, I might bring it out or I might yell at them a little bit here and there, but most of the times they understand their problems and they already go and find solutions, because my father always taught me don't answer stupid questions. So if they ask me a question I already answered, I just won't even answer it, and they'll be like, okay. And then they realize I just want them to solve their own problems. And the only way they're going to do it is if they trust the RISE philosophy, which always helps. And then they give us their very best. When you have those two connect, it's very hard for nothing, or it's very hard for something not to happen, not good things on the field. And like, that's how I'd say we really get into like that.
Yeah, I agree, because I know you've spoken to me, not, we haven't spoken on camera just yet, but your Trinity sessions, a lot of players come in and you would say that they are communicating the entire time. And that intensity that you put into the Trinity sessions when they go into a game situation, the games are actually less intense at that point, you know, because in your Trinity sessions, I know you've told me that there are no fouls. There are no fouls you play on, and that will teach them, you know, to play to the whistle, anything. They're hungry, they're communicating well in the Trinity sessions, and they take that into a game. So I would say, if in a game situation, are there any phrases and like you teach players, let's say, you know, someone's not happy in a game and, you know, they kind of like need to say something to another player. Are there any phrases that you teach players to replace the yelling or complaining, you know, in a game situation?
Yeah.
Anything that you do with that?
I would say things like, hey, next one, next one. That's a big one. All my
Same
players
for you.
say.
Same for you as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say next one, got the next one. Uh, if a player were to make a mistake and we almost got scored on, then I'd be like, hey, it's all right. You had the right idea. Let's just make sure that we're being, you know, not respective, but make sure I gotta think about the defense, because there's not even many times I talk that much to defense, but
It's always take a breath. I feel like I noticed that too. You know, whenever I've coached and there's been like a close moment, someone on the other team hits the post, the bar,
yeah,
has a close shot, you know, get something off. I'm like, everyone just take a deep breath. I'm like, everyone just take a deep breath, settle down, get that frame of mind back, and get back into the
yeah,
game. Simple as that. Because amping them up and yelling at them, it's like, that chance should have never happened, blah blah blah. It's like, how you conduct yourself on the sideline. I think, you know, we know this as coaches. How you conduct yourself on the sideline is huge for how the team conducts themselves on the field.
yeah,
And, you know, if you're calm on the sideline, but, you know, you're hungry and you're demanding, you're going to see that on the team. You know, they're going to be hungry, they're going to be demanding of one another. But if you're kind of frantic, yelling on the sideline, your team's going to get worried.
oh yeah,
They can hurried, and then they lose the ball too.
yeah, they're going to be chaotic and stuff. And the scariest thing is any young child and stuff being chaotic is scary. But I think as they get older and they're still being chaotic in a team environment, but in a team sport, it's always funny to me. But it makes me very happy to know that my parents did such an amazing job parenting me and my siblings and stuff compared to what I've seen. So I'm just so grateful. But like I was saying, I think that's the only thing I really have to say. defense, I never really had to say anything. It's to big them up, or really to make them keep them in check. They're really defensively like militant. They're very militant on defense. I'd say on offense, it's just maybe to trust yourself more. That might be the second thing I say. But to be honest, they're pretty carefree when it comes to offensive play and stuff, and they know their mistakes. I let them make their own mistakes and realize what it is, what the problem was, and figure it out themselves. I don't want to be a constant reminder of why they're making a mistake, or reiterating the fact of you made a mistake. But yeah, like I said, I think just next one is it. But hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I'd say that does. I think for me, when you talk about the defense, I love it because when anyone, I mean, I'm from England, obviously, so like when anyone makes a big tackle or like wins a header, I'm just like, yes, like on the sideline, because it kind of spurs that next person on. And it's like, if it's, maybe a battle in the midfield and there's a second ball that needs to be won, someone goes, slides in, wins the ball. I'm like, yes, let's go for the next one. Maybe it pops off to the other team. Someone else is going flying in after it, like always just want that kind of hungry mentality from my people and the players that you get. So I'm sure you get that as well. And do you think, because we've played on teams, I know we've played on teams where people, their communication style is horrific and they're like, come on, bro, do this. And like, they're constantly complaining and stuff like that. Getting to the young players that, you're coaching right now, do you think that the communication style that, you're building at Rise and with, your high school programs and the SYC program, do you think the communication style that you are using right now, it separates the players, the average players that you see other coaches maybe, having, and now like kind of elite players? So I would just say like average players from elite players. Do you think the communication style that, you're teaching separates average from elite players?
It does. I would even say what people will call elite players, our communication styles is even further away from it. Those kids who are really good on really good teams, but they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to lead their team, and that's the biggest problem. You know what we were talking about before, about like how you don't want to be negative towards your teammates because it's not going to do anything that could be helpful. That's what I call the racket treatment. You know how they do in tennis when they'll just bust a racket and stuff, or a golf club and stuff. Rarely golf club, more of a tennis racket. And I think when you're in a team sport, you already understand you have to sacrifice part of who you are, or maybe not part of who you are, but you understand you're going to have to become something for a team to win, because you just became a part of a team sport. It's no longer about you. It's about what you can do for the group.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters. And some people, I'd say when it comes to our setting and stuff, it's just, I feel like I'm going off tangent. Can you repeat that question? Because I want to make sure I really get this one.
No, you're good. I think, the question that I brought up, so the communication style that, we use in terms of how we communicate on the field, as well as, the players that, you're dealing with now. Do you think that the communication style that you're imparting on the next generation is going to separate them from being an average player on the way up or an elite player on their way up?
Okay, yeah, it'll make them elite. It'll definitely make them elite. They'll process the game faster. They'll be people who can command and run a game instead of rely on others, which is the main problem in U.S. soccer. Like, no one knows how to raise leaders, and therefore you don't know how to raise leaders. You have people who aren't leaders in the toughest moments, the high pressure moments. And you know what? I have a quick Pulisic said this a few days ago, or I saw a video or a clip of him. I think it was speaking with Henri maybe, or some kind of news report. He was saying how that the cockiness or the arrogance that those players at the top highest level, that kind of arrogance, he says he doesn't have it. And I think people may misinterpret what he meant by that. Rise players, if you go to one of my players and stuff who's been with me for the longest, I guarantee you they are very, very sure of themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, there's very little that you could do to deter them. If you tell them that you're going up against like players from France, they're excited because, and I don't mean like, excited and a little bit of nervousness. I mean excited to the point where we're finally going to have to be pushed in a game and then we're going to be able to take it on beyond there. And that's where it comes to the fact of you have misplaced arrogance and then you have the correct arrogance. And I think the problem with the average players is that they still are maybe cocky, but not in the right way. They don't have the work ethic and the team work aspect to understand what it means to lead a team, therefore be elite. I mean, you look at any great player, if you look at the history of the GOATs, how many of them became captains? Just think about that. All
of them have, you know, if you're looking at defenders, you know, Maldini, like guys like, you know, Vidic, he was a captain at Manchester United for a bit as well. You know, I'd say he's a very John Terry, even not even defenders, you know, you're looking at midfielders, you know, Gerrard, Lampard, strikers, you know, you're looking at Messi, Ronaldo, you know, for the national team. And it's like, and it may not be like, you know, they're the most vocal leader on the field. Like Messi, he's probably not saying too much on the field. You don't see him like yelling at people too much. He's a silent leader in the dressing room, and like just kind of the way he carries himself. I know a lot of Argentina players have spoken about the way he carries himself, and it's like he carries himself like a leader, and he goes out there like a champion that wants to win, and that kind of fuels everyone else. So I definitely see a lot of players kind of, if you adapt a more mature mindset and you adapt to, you know, this RISE philosophy of just constant, really detail oriented, good communication, it's going to make you a better player, because coaches love that. Coaches love that. They're not going to, no coach is going to look at you and see that, oh, if he's whining again, it's like, here he goes again. You know, it's like, no coach is going to think like, oh, that's a good player. They're going to see a player that's like, hey, it's okay, get back in, reset. They're going to be like, okay, that person has a bulletproof mindset. They're determined to go and just take on the next thing, that the next phase of play that happens, and they are a leader. And they'll see that. You're going to look at that and they'll see that. So young players now, hoping that they can adopt that going forward, because I feel like we were lacking that, not just in football aspect, but also like in society as well. We're lacking leaders, people that are vocal, that have good communication skills, that can communicate with someone effectively and bring other people up. There's also a lot of negativity in terms of like, if someone makes a mistake, it's in society as well. As like, if someone makes a mistake, no one's like kind of pulling them up. It's like, hey, I'm with you right there. It's like, if we're in the trenches together, we're pulling people up and we're going together pretty much. So we definitely need more of that. And I guess that kind of goes into my next kind of question as well, because I remember when I was at McLean, and I told them at the start of the season, it's like, I want every single one of you to be a leader. I need that. I need leaders on the field that are talking and communicating with one another. And obviously it took 3 months to do, but at the end of the season, everyone was talking. There was a lot of communication. It was much better than at the start. At the start, it was like a library. No one's talking with one another. People are kind of looking around like, oh, do I need to talk? I'm sure you've gotten that too at some point, you know, and like some teams, everyone's like, wait, do I speak? Like, no, it's like everyone needs to take on that burden. Everyone needs to take on that burden as a leader. So I guess the question that I have for you now is, what are the hardest types of players to reach out to and break through with this philosophy?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Actually, I'm genuinely surprised by that question. Usually players at a certain age, like when they're a sophomore, it might be done. It might be done.
It's a tough age. The hormones are flying, you know, freshman year and sophomore year, hormones are flying all over the place. They're not really mellowing out, because junior year they're starting to, like, you know, look at colleges and stuff, so they're starting to mellow out a bit. Senior year is like, you've made your decision, or you're going to go to this school, you know, you kind of mellowed out, you're okay with that. You need to be older and more mature because there are younger players coming through. But definitely, like what you said, freshmen and sophomores.
No, I mean, like sophomores and up, those are the ones. Anything freshman and below, I pretty much got. Like, that's
really okay. That's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah,
I can get the freshmen. They're not that difficult. I mean, my thing is that when players come to me and stuff like that, they might think I'm sometimes like just ruthless, just like, you are running us into the ground. But then they'll see that it's really coming from a place of love. Like, I see something special in you. So why don't we just work together to help bring it out? You can't see it. And most of the time the players can't see it. Actually, I think almost every time I've met a player and I've spoken to them and stuff, they've never been able to see their full potential. And a part of it does come to parenting as well. Like, parents will reveal a lot about what the kid's going through. So if he's in a really tough household, he may be a really good easily able to coach 14-year-old, 13-year-old, but also the parent, if the parenting isn't as strong, it might be a 14, 13-year-old who might be too far gone. But usually in the case that I have with ninth graders, they're usually not that too far gone. I've had some before, 100%. I've had some eighth graders who are just like, I couldn't get through. But I always consider myself a part of the stairway. I'm not the one who may get you to the top floor, but I'm definitely going to be a part. I'm gonna be a step of the way. So even though I might not be able to help that player now, I'm sure that life will teach them. And the only thing I told my players is that if you get life to teach you a lesson, then life has a very unforgiving way of going about it. Or maybe unforgiving is the wrong word. Maybe the right word is unpredictable, a very unpredictable way of showing you this is what happens when you don't listen. Because Rise's message is no different than than a 65-year-old I talked to on the street would say. If I told a 65-year-old who never played soccer before what we value and what we do and how the training sessions work, they'll be like, that's great. I'd love to come out to one of those, because you just hear it and you'd be like, I can picture what this can look like. But the problem is with the players and stuff, you just have some hits and misses, and it sucks when you're starting as a coach. There are a few that you for sure you wish you could have gotten, especially with their talent. But I want all my players, everyone I've ever coached, I have no real. I actually just want the best for them.
I agree.
It would break my heart to hear that something bad happened to them and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, no matter how at odds we were, I still wish the best for you, because I know in your heart you have a good heart. I haven't met a player with a bad heart, like a truthfully bad heart. Never met a player like that. Every one of them has a good heart. It's just how they've grown up and how they've been wrapped around with certain blankets that aren't good blankets to hang around with, or great influences. Then you just end up like that. So you can't really look at the player and be like, this is on you. But you do have to look at the player and tell them the truth that there's no one else who can fix this. Like, yes, it's not on you, but no, Dr. Phil ain't coming here. Like Oprah is not, there's nothing under your seat. There's nothing to help you get through this.
You have to do it.
You have to do it. And when they know that you see it as well, most of the times they'll cling on to be like, yeah, I got you and stuff. I mean, there was a kid who played, I won't go over his name and stuff out of respect for him, but there was a kid who played for like the second level team of a club. And he was bullied in that team and stuff. Like he was talked trash. He wasn't a starter. They talked trash about him and stuff. He's probably the most important player we have in my few travel teams that I've had with him and stuff. He's going to Norway with me. He's actually the captain. This is a player that everyone on the team, and I mean everyone would rather sit out than let this player sit out for them. Yeah, that's how much of an influence he is and stuff. But he took on what I said and everything I've taught him with full, like, open arms, because he was at such a low point. He would just grab onto anything, and he just so happened to grab onto something that made him. I mean, he was captain for his high school team in his first season as a freshman. I mean, he's captain of a group of players who are freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and upcoming senior as well. So this is a kid who's developed into a full leader because I got him at the right moment. But it doesn't always happen. And as a coach, you just got to understand that I'm not going to get you, but I wish you the best. And you just got to leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're getting players, especially in high school, at a very interesting time, because not only, the hormones are flying around all over the place, but they're growing as individuals. They're maturing a little bit more. We're getting them at a good point where, it's becoming more of, football may be becoming more serious to them in terms of like, hey, I might actually want to play in college and stuff like that. So you do see a shift in terms of players' mentality and kind of where they want to go and what they want to do. I would say that, the majority of players I work with, they have, especially in high school, they have like that clear direction of like kind of where they want to go and what they want to do. Now, players that are kind of comfortable, they'll just kind of slack off and like kind of go to the back and like not really, want to be a participant. Some players that really want to adapt and develop, they'll come to the front and like, they're asking questions, they'll be present in training sessions. There are some players that I've had to have a quiet word with, and it's like, hey, you're a good player, but I need you to like focus up in a training session. I need you to be talking. And I think if you hold players to that high standard, I hope that they will like look back and think, you know what, yeah, I want to hold myself to that high standard too. Because like you said, we only want what's best for them. I only want what's best with any player that I've worked with. You know, I think it's always about the players. It's never about me. It's about making a functional team. But at the end of the day, for me, it's about making good people and good leaders. And, you know, if whether it is in soccer, whether it's in life, you know, going off into society, being a good leader, having good communication skills, that's kind of the main goal at the end of the day. And I think, you know, just kind of wrapping up with this final thought and final question for you, Jordan, what do you hope a Rise player feels when they look back on how you taught them how to communicate? So let's say, you know, they're in college now, maybe they're probably around, you know, our age, like, you know, 24, 25, 26, you know, out of college now. What do you hope that they took away from your training sessions, or what you taught them in terms of how to communicate with one another on the soccer field, and how can they kind of apply that to life?
I hope that they have a bigger appreciation for their parents, any figures, parental figures in their life. It can include other coaches, it can include myself, but I hope they're very grateful for it. And when they show gratitude, or they understand just how difficult it is to lead, because it's a lonely road at times. I just won't lie to you. It's a lonely road. I mean, you've been there before. Like,
yeah,
when someone is speaking in a certain way because that's how they've been brought up, they don't know anything else, you can feel pity for them. But at the same time, sometimes you realize, I could say something to help change this person, or maybe I don't say anything because I could tell this person's beyond what I'm saying. Like, they won't hear my words. I would hope that every player who came to this session left and understood that they've never known what real leadership was until that understanding of how you have to communicate with people to guide a group of people, no matter if you decided to become a lawyer or a doctor, whatever they decide to do, they're going to understand how group dynamics work, and they understand that it's not about them. It is about making sure everyone feels like they are part of something bigger than them, and that you are working together to find that solution. So how you speak to each other matters. I mean, shoot, I would tell a player, I mean, you watch any movies or go to any military actual like operations or something like that, or hear about it, I guarantee you they don't talk to each other like crazy. You missed that shot? Oh, come on, man. Like, they don't
they ain't doing that.
It's insane. And if they can do that in the military while someone's getting shot at, while they're getting shot at and all that, or while they're being looked at to be potentially killed, I think we can talk this way in a soccer match. I don't know about you, but I just feel like that's a pretty sound logic. If they can do it there and with their lives on the line, we could do it here with what? Dehydration being the worst thing that
dehydration on the line. Yeah, you know, it's like, it's not even about like winning or losing a game. It's like, just the way that you speak to someone, I would say, is more important than the result at the end of the day. I would actually say that, because at the end of the day, it's about the people. And, you know, the way that you speak to someone as well can actually change the course of the game, you know, the course of the match that you're in. If you're constantly nagging on someone, you know, they're not going to play to their full potential. And how would you feel if someone did that to you? You're probably not going to play to your full potential as well. The words the words that you use matter. The way that you communicate matter. And it isn't just on the soccer field, it's in life. It's the way that you conduct yourself. It's the way that, because here's the thing, any place that you go and anything you do, you're going to be in a group setting at some point. If you're working in that 9-to-5 job, you know, at corporate, you're probably going to have to do group sessions, you know, where you're collaborating with people in the morning. If you're coaching, you know, you're going to have to work with a group of players. If, you know, you're on a team with someone, you're going to have to collaborate with your teammates. There is always room for collaboration. So the way that you communicate and the clear direction-oriented communication that you use is so vital for people and players nowadays. And I hope that, you know, And I'm sure that what they're doing at Rise, they're not just going to like take it now when, you know, they're 13, 14, 15. They're going to continue this for as long as they go into, you know, their later soccer careers in their 20s, or even in life, you know, in their next step in their job and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, that communication aspect is so important. And yeah, I think this is probably a good stopping point for this topic. So Jordan, thank you so much for your time today. So yeah, this was you know, why Rise players must learn to speak, you know, in detail oriented and speak well to other people. So we will catch you guys next time on Rise TV. Jordan, do you have any more words? Are you good?
Everyone, just they'll be posting stuff following my journey to Norway and stuff, as well as the Trinity sessions that will be happening once we get back from there and stuff. So make sure to follow along where you can and stuff. Everything will be in the description in terms of social media. But I just wish everybody the best in their soccer development, no matter where you are, no matter how old you are. I wish you the very best. It's out of love. I don't know where you are, but I'm sure that you're trying. Just make sure that you're doing the right things while trying, and understanding when to correct it. Understand that everybody's going to go through it. Even ourselves, we've gone through it, and we won't stop going through it. But please understand that you are not alone in this journey, no matter how bad it may seem. And if you talk to any soccer player, just like if you go to a soccer field, you ask if you have a pump and somebody asks you for a pump, you don't say no. You just don't. It's a weird thing to do. Everyone wishes you the best in your soccer journey and stuff. So if you wish to see more Rise content stuff, you know, leave a comment down below. If you want to see different kind of like some kind of questions you want to be answered, or what other things you're curious about Rise, just put it down below and stuff. But I'd like to thank our host, Scott Crowder, again for taking the time for this episode. And that's probably my message to everyone and stuff. And I'll look forward to seeing everyone in the next one.
Absolutely. So everyone take care. Thanks again to Jordan. And yeah, I've been Scott Crowder, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.